Another day, another new perfume, I swear, but some of these are brand new and I'm excited to share my thoughts in case they were on your radar. And then some of these are just new to me and I thought I would share kind of what I've been picking up, what has come into my collection, maybe a little bit more obscure picks, and maybe those have been on your radar and you want to know what those smell like too. So yeah, let's get into it without further ado. I feel like skin scents have become really popular, so I have a few here, and one of them is Snif Me. This one came out on the heels of my last new in fragrance kind of video, and I have to say it's been growing on me. I do tend to like a skin scent. I like something that's a little unisex and is an easy wear, but I feel like within that category there can be a lot of different ways that it goes. And initially something in this, I don't know if it's the moss, because there is a moss note, just kind of came off a little strong to me, but with time I've really grown to like this. It is a fruity kind of sweet skin scent. The fruitiness isn't super overt in here. There's like peach and plum. I get way more of the peach, but it's really like a soft peach skin. It's not overly juicy, overly ripe, anything like that. For some of the other notes in here, there's orris, caramel, musk, moss, sandalwood, and orchnox in here. So it has that musky, like molecular base on it. And as a skin scent, this reminds me of like a sweeter, I don't know what, by DS and Durga. To me, I don't know what is kind of a sharper skin scent to my nose. And although it's unisex, I would say it kind of leans slightly more masculine. It kind of reminds me of like an old t-shirt worn by a guy or something. Like it kind of gives that vibe to me, but I would wear that too because I like that kind of a scent. But because of the orris and the caramel that's in here and even those fruity touches, I feel like it just softens this just enough. And again, it stays in that unisex category. And like I said, it's grown on me. I think it's a nice skin scent. I don't think it's going to be for everyone. This is kind of a play off of Glossier You, like Snif Me, Glossier You, you know. I don't personally find them similar. Like, yes, they're in the same category of skin scent, but I do feel like they're different enough. And again, I feel like if you like something like Fugazi Angel Dust or Dias and Durga, I don't know what, this is a little bit of a softer, slightly sweeter version, I feel like, of those types of skin scents. I also think this would be a good layering fragrance, so you could use this under things to kind of amp things up, especially musky fragrances, your fruity fragrances. If something's like overly sweet or overly fruity, I could see this really kind of taming it down and also giving it some good longevity. I do feel like it lasts a decent amount of time on me as well. I do have a code with Snif. If you're ever interested, you can use that to save money. It's Lauren10 and that is affiliated. I'm excited to continue exploring this. I do feel like though with skin scents, like you don't need every skin scent out there, and I think it's good to find the one that works with your skin, works with your body chemistry, works with your preferences, and kind of going from there. But I do think it's a nice addition to the line. A skin scent that kind of caught me off guard, I wasn't expecting to like this one as much as I do, and this is from Skylar, but I got like a paper sample of this in my scent club monthly. Like it came with it, and I was like, you know what, I kind of like that. Like I like it enough that I'm gonna get the bottle, see how it goes. And I do like this one. I don't think I mentioned the name. This is called Nude Skin, and to me this is like a skin scent, but it does have a beachy quality to it. Like there is something to me coconutty or like soft and almost powdery in a sunscreened way, but it's not overly bold, and again it has more of that skin scent quality to it, so it feels a little translucent or like sheer in a soft way. I actually haven't looked up the full notes till right now, and this has papaya and pineapple in the top. It has coconut blossom, orchid, and frangipani in the mid, and then the base is vanilla, amber, and cedar. And I think that makes sense. I'm surprised there are like such fruity notes in here because again, this doesn't come off like fruity necessarily. I get the coconut blossom, but I do not get like a juicy pineapple from this scent. And I really do feel like what you're left with in this skin scent is that base, something ambery and warm and vanilla, a little powdery. So I don't know, I like this. I think it's a good one from Skylar. I feel like the last few launches haven't been my favorite, and to be honest, I didn't necessarily have high hopes for this one, but I do think this one's pretty good. Another nice skin scent on the market. Again, I don't think you need all of these. I mean, unless you want all the skin scents out there, but you know, between Glossier You or Missing Person from Phlur or Snif Me or Nude Skin from Skylar, I feel like you could kind of pick the one that best suits you. And this one definitely feels like the sheerer version of a kind of tropical vanilla sunscreen coconut kind of scent, but very toned down, very like subdued and for every day in this sheer way. And I find this to be a little bit powdery, so you're gonna want to like something a little powdery, but it's comforting, and again has a little bit of warmth to it that makes for a very nice skin scent. I'm telling you, they're everywhere right now. Next, let's talk about this baby. This is the new Billie Eilish fragrance. This one is called Your Turn. So it's in a whole new series. We got 3 of them in the kind of bust bottle, and now we got this really cool dice. I think the bottle is so cool. I think it's very unique, and I just appreciate the detail on that. I didn't know what this scent was gonna be really before I ordered it. I was just like, yep, I'm gonna get it. Like, let's get that ordered. And I have to say, I'm very happy with this. This reminds me the most, if you're familiar with the other Billie Eilish fragrances out there, of Eilish 2.0. It is more of a unisex scent, so not necessarily a skin scent, I wouldn't call it that, but it does go into that unisex territory. I don't feel like it leans overly feminine, overly masculine in any way. I try to always say this, but perfume, no matter what it says on the bottle, you can wear it no matter what. So if you like a scent that's more feminine, go for it. If you like a scent that's more masculine, go for it. Like, do your thing, you know? The cap just kind of comes off like this too, thought I would just mention, and then you're just left with the dice as the bottle. Again, really love that. But Your Turn to me is a little more airy than the Eilish 2.0. I find it very aromatic in a way that I really enjoy. It kind of reminds me of Sous La Pompe from Etat Libre d'Orange, which I really, really love. It almost has something kind of aquatic going on as well. Here are the actual notes though. Cardamom, ginger, bergamot in the top. There's coconut water, night blooming jasmine, and peach. And then in the base, there's Australian sandalwood, musk, and ISO-E Super. I do get that ISO-E Super in here, but I like that it's paired with other things. That's a very like molecular, to me, kind of a sharp, woody, musky, I don't know, almost kind of ambery note. It can like take on different things, but I do love that in fragrance. I love Molecula 1, which is just ISO-E Super, so I like that that's in here. It also is going to give this some longevity, which is nice. You get something slightly spicy, not too much. The cardamom comes through just enough. I think paired with the fruit notes, I think that coconut water is adding something more like truly watery actually to me. I don't pick up on a fruitiness, but I think it's just kind of balancing everything out really nicely. So it's not overly sweet. It just doesn't pull too far in any one direction, and I find it really refreshing. To me, it's a pretty easy wear, and again, I would say pretty much right on unisex, maybe slightly leaning masculine, but 2.0 leans a little more masculine to me than Your Turn does, because again, I just find this to be a little bit more airy, and the one out of the two that I would prefer to wear as well. So I'm pretty happy with this launch. I think it's a great profile as well. It's unique and something I feel like a little different, especially in the celebrity perfume realm, you know? It's not gonna be like a fruity floral. As much as I think a lot of people could enjoy this, I don't think it's as like mass appealing in a lot of ways that you tend to see from a celebrity perfume. So I like that we're getting something different. I like the bottle, I like the vision. So I think this is a nice addition. I'd love to know your thoughts. So if you pick this one up, what are you thinking about it? How are you enjoying it? Or are you? Okay, did want to throw this one in here from Oribe. This is Desertland. I actually picked this up. I was at Namie's here in LA recently, and they were getting rid of a lot of their Oribe stuff. So this was really cheap. I think I got it for like 50 bucks, and I love this scent. I was first introduced to it in the body wash, and it is very much in line with some of these skin scents and kind of a unisex scent. So this kind of does it all to me. And this, I feel like even out of everything I've talked about, is a little bit more my preferred style, I would say. This is so good. It's woody, it's peppery, it almost smells a little bit green, very aromatic. It's very light though. It definitely doesn't have too much weight to it, which I really like about this scent. It's just an easy wear if you want to feel clean, but you don't want to go sweet. Top notes on this are juniper berries, lavender, and pine tree. There's angelica, wildflowers in the middle, and then Texas cedars, sandalwood, and vetiver in the base. Love something with a little bit of a pine tree scent to it. I am a little bit of a sucker for that, but I feel like this is done in a way that's also wearable. Like, not only do I like the scent just to smell it, but I do like this scent on. Again, this to me is like sophisticated and refined without being like overly done. Like, it isn't too heavy of a scent. And so in that way, it's not gonna last forever, but I feel like it's just perfect enough. Like, I'm really excited to add this to my collection. It had been on my list for a while. And if you're into Oribe scents, like you kind of know the vibe, this is kind of the woody, aromatic. I feel like, again, there's almost this kind of like green spiciness going on in here. I don't know if that's the angelica or what, but I really, really enjoy this. And this kind of a scent reminds me of more the beginning of my perfume journey of like what I prefer, and I really, really like this one. It's very good. Okay, now let's get into some of the new scents at Sephora. I just picked up some travel sizes. I didn't know if I would love them or not, if they'd be full bottle worthy, so I didn't want to take the risk. But I will say, the one I am most considering is the Brown Girl Jane Jane Casino. This smells really good. This is a coffee scent. I feel like Brown Girl Jane has been doing a lot more gourmands lately with a lot of their releases, and it has me always looking out for them. I am very excited for their launches. And this is For Sure Coffee, very sweet, but again, done in a very airy, almost kind of like woody way, which I enjoy. It's truly like you spilled a really sweet, yummy coffee on yourself. Like, it smells so good. If you're into sweet gourmands and vanillas, but you want like a coffee take on it, I think you would enjoy this one. I don't feel like I get a ton of longevity, I will say. Like, this one does not stick around as long as I want it to. But for a coffee scent, which I feel like can go wrong really easily, I do really like this. It reminds me a bit of Mancera Amore Cafe. They both almost take on a syrupy kind of quality to them, but I find with Amore Cafe that one almost has a waxiness to it. So I don't know, it's not as airy as I find Casino to be, and I like that a lot about this. The notes that I'm seeing here: almond, affogato, cake, and rum, okay? Like, that sounds so good. A truly edible scent. I guess when I really think of it, I do get the rum, but I don't find this necessarily overly boozy. I don't feel like it's super prominent. I mean, I guess it's there, but it is mixed in with these really sweet, syrupy coffee, vanilla. Like, it's like the best coffee creamer you could use. Like, you know, it's probably not good for you, but it tastes really good. That's what it smells like to me. It's very delicious. I'm thinking about adding a bottle to my collection once I go through this. I will say I'm not always a coffee girl, so, you know, it might take me a while to go through this, but I have really enjoyed it, and I think a lot of people are gonna like them, especially if you love a gourmand and you're interested in coffee. I would check it out. Another gourmand here, this one is from Henry Rose, and I was excited to try this because I've tried a few Henry Rose scents, and I was interested to see their take on a gourmand. I was expecting it to not necessarily be as like straightforward foodie as a lot of the times I like, and it's not in a lot of ways, but it also is a little bit more foodie and sweet than I kind of expected it to be honest. To me, this is kind of what I expected, maybe a little bit more, or would be okay with if the Mason Margiela replica Afternoon Delight scent could be. Oh, that didn't even make sense. But what I'm trying to say is I feel like this is the good version of that scent to me. We're like, let's be real, it's a little bit of a compromise. It's not, again, a true like photorealistic food, but the cream is definitely coming out in here. It is a little bit powdery, and I wouldn't say overly sweet, at least not in the initial spray of this. I find in the wear on this fragrance and in the dry down, it actually gets sweeter on me, which I don't normally find to be the case. So that was very, very interesting. It's almost like initially I'm getting like a lightly sweetened, very fresh cream, like homemade fresh whipped cream, and a little bit of like a steamed milk smell in here, but it has enough sweetness that it's not like baby formula and it's not like salty, so I like that. And as much as it's creamy, again, I do get something a little powdery that dissipates throughout the wear. There's something slightly fresh. It's like this cream has a little bit of like a zest of a citrus in here. To me, very, very light though. Like, if you're sensitive to citrus, it's nothing like Acrobake. It's nothing like those other kind of citrusy vanillas at all. It's kind of giving like natural dessert, really fresh ingredients, and it's almost in a way where you're like, is it sweet enough? But it is. It really is, and I quite like it. I don't know if I'd get a full bottle, but I am very happy with this, and again, very interesting as it dries down and as it wears. I find it almost kind of like becomes more showery and more sweet, and that powderiness kind of falls off in a way. So I think it's a very on-trend release. I think like everyone's kind of getting on at least some type of vanilla gourmand, and this is like their version of it. And I feel like if you are kind of in between where you're like, I want a vanilla, I don't want it like overly sweet and edible and foodie, but I also want a little bit of that, you know, I think this could be a good one to try out actually. Here are the notes on it. I feel like I get some of them, and then others I'm like, I don't really smell that. So there's pink pepper, tangerine, and neroli in the top, almond blossom, lavender extract, and orange in the mid. And then in the base, there's chantilly cream, vanilla bean, tonka bean, and cocoa shell. So I feel like maybe those tangerine and orange are like that slight freshness I'm getting. The almond blossom for sure. And then that base I feel like is definitely coming in strong. But I really don't get necessarily like the neroli. I don't really get lavender personally. Maybe that's also adding to like the lavender, a little bit of that powdery opening that goes away. But yeah, kind of shocked I like it as much much as I do, because I was very much expecting it to be more like the Maker Dream, and I do find this to be more sweet. And I'm also noticing there's like a floaty in mine. I don't know what that's about. There's a floaty going on. Let's talk about a bust, okay? Unfortunately, I do not like this. This is the Seven Virtues Clementine Dream. I was excited for this because I was hoping it'd be kind of like a vanilla citrus thing, you know? Maybe like a creamsicle vibe, but I don't get much of the vanilla. These are the notes: clementine, black currant, magnolia, and vanilla in the base. I'm definitely getting the tangerine and black currant. I think they're nice and tart, very like citrusy and fresh, but I feel like that magnolia really does come through, and it is kind of a clean, you know, a clean smelling citrus, but I find at least on my skin, it just starts getting powderier and powderier as I wear it in this way that is really just, I just really don't enjoy it at all. I can either really get down with a citrus or I'm not really about it. And I like a citrus that can go crisp or that can go like sweet and vanillic. But this one to me just kind of goes in this, again, powdery, floral, just no. The vanilla comes through a little, but it's just like powdery vanilla citrus in a way that's kind of cleaner-esque. I don't like it. It's not for me. That's all I gotta say, okay? Not for me. Too kind of florally and powdery with that tart citrus in the opening, but it dies away and you are left with just something at least I don't want to wear, okay? I'm not a fan of this one at all. Next, I want to talk about this scent from Vyrao, I believe is how you say it. They sent this to me and I have been wanting to try this brand for a while. I've smelt a candle. I think it's called, oh, I can't remember what it's called, Voodoo, maybe something like that. Maybe I'm wrong, but I haven't smelled any of the perfumes, and the scent that they sent out is called Georgette, and I didn't really pick this one, but I was excited to give it a go and just kind of see what the house has to offer. They really focus on like good vibes and kind of like using perfume as a way to like change your energy, uplift your spirit type of thing, and I quite like this even though it's not exactly my thing. I feel like if you're into Aesop type of scents, you would maybe like this. It smells more like earthy and like fresh like that. It has a nice muskiness to it. That's the part I really quite like, especially in the dry down. I'm gonna read you the notes first, but I do feel like how I experience this scent is so much different than what I would expect. So there's Turkish rose, gaiac wood, patchouli, tobacco, sandalwood, pink pepper, violet leaf, and vanilla in here. I guess there's no musk, but the way that it wears on me feels like a muskiness, especially as it dries down, especially in that deeper wear of the fragrance. I feel like the tobacco leaf along with the woody notes give it something woody, and it almost comes off a little dry and more airy than I would expect, I guess. Like, I don't find this to be as deep as I was expecting, and even with the rose and patchouli, those are notes I'm kind of like, I don't know how they're gonna be, but I find in here, it kind of comes off more as like an earthiness. Maybe for the rose, it's more like the stem of a rose to me, more than like the true flowery, you know, like really feminine part of a rose to me, at least to my nose. Like, this is very much unisex, I think. It actually reminded me initially when I got it of a Jo Malone fragrance that I have called, I think it's English Oak and Red Currant, something like that. It reminds me more of like that scent, which I feel like is a little bit of a heavier scent for Jo Malone, but in general, the Jo Malone house I feel like is quite easy and wearable, and I don't know, there's something about this that I do feel like is like sophisticated, and I don't know, when I wear this, I really quite like it. It stays pretty close to the skin overall for me. Maybe there's a little sillage going on, but I didn't find this projected. I actually found it kind of like cocooned within my sweater, and I would get like whiffs of it as I moved around, and I don't know, like a surprise that I loved this as much as I did. I really feel like because it stays kind of dry and I don't know, more on an earthy daytime scent instead of like earthy, sexy, nighttime syrupy, like it doesn't do all that, and I am grateful for that because I didn't know how I would like it, but surprisingly like it more than I thought, and it makes me excited. I really want to try more from the house because I wonder if there will be a better fit out there for me, but a very nice perfume, definitely one that's gonna feel a little bit more sophisticated. To me, this reminds me of like even something like at Le Labo or something, you know, like in that realm, and I really quite like that. Maybe Le Labo meets Aesop, something like that. That's kind of the vibe here. A couple other PR I wanted to mention. Phlur came out with Father Figure in the deodorant, and if that's your favorite scent, I just wanted to shout it out because I think it can be nice to kind of layer different body care products with your perfume and kind of get that cohesive moment. I have the vanilla skin one, and as much as I don't know, I just just personally, it's difficult for me to go with like alternative deodorants, but if they work for you, I know a lot of people they do work for, maybe something to check out. It is now available. Kind of going back to another Snif launch. This is Guilty Pleasure. This came out around like Valentine's Day. They had a Valentine's Day candle last year as well, and it got relaunched too. It's called Big Phlur, and it was like chocolate dipped strawberries and champagne. That was kind of the vibe. Very, very Valentine's Day. And as much as I thought that scent was nice, and it was giving chocolate covered strawberries and champagne, like you smelt all that, it wasn't like a personal favorite, but this one I was like hopeful it would be, and I really quite like this. The notes are fresh raspberry, whipped meringue, almond cake, cherry blossom, powdered sugar, vanilla bean butter. I was like, okay, a creamy vanilla scent with a touch, I was hoping, a touch of fruitiness, not too much, and that's exactly what we got. I love that, okay? I was like, please don't be too raspberry heavy, and I feel like this one's really nice. It's like a good vanilla for springtime. That's like how I feel about it. It reminds me a little bit of the Bath & Body Works candle in Rose Petal Tea Cake, something like that, but that has like a tartness to the sweetness that I think is a nice balance. I really love that candle. It's like one of my favorites. This doesn't have the tartness. It really just goes in that sweet category, but if you like, you know, some of the half-baked smash stuff, I think this would probably be up your alley as well. I really quite like this candle, a nice release, and I feel like for a while there were some candles from Snif that I was like, you know, I wasn't finding as many loves, but lately I feel like there have been some good candle launches from them. Okay, now we get into some more kind of like random ones. I bought all the rest of them here, so these are ones that just kind of caught my eye for one reason or another. This next one I picked up because I kept getting tons of ads, I feel like, on Instagram, and the notes had me so intrigued, and I just decided to go for it. It's also in collaboration with an influencer, Snif with Steph, so I was like, I'm gonna pick it up. Let's try it out. And if you want a scent that's gonna give you exactly what the notes listed, I feel like that's what I get from this. Like truly, there's fig nectar, cream, and cardamom in the top. In the mid notes, there's rice pudding, toasted coconut, and saffron. And then in the base, there's vanilla beans, sandalwood, amber woods, and it's very much that. It's like figgy in this very creamy sense of fig with, I mean, it gives it a little bit of brightness too, a little bit of fruitiness, but it's very much like creamy. You get that rice pudding though too, so that adds a creamy quality, but also something a little bit foody, and I don't want to say savory, but it has that kind of grainy scent to it too. There's the toasted coconut for sure. I'm telling you, I smell it all. The saffron, the cardamom, all of it is in here exactly as you would expect. Again, very foody, creamy, lactonic, and I do like it, and I mean, it delivers on exactly what it says. I do find this a little bit much, just a little tiny bit for me. Kind of reminds me of Phlur Heavy Cream, so if you love that scent and kind of want a fig take on it, I feel like this could be one to check out for sure, and I think a lot of people are gonna love it, especially gourmand lovers, but it definitely has that creamy, showery quality to it. So picked that one up, had to know how it smelled. And let me tell you, it's delivering on all the creams in there, all the rice pudding, all the fig and the coconut. It's definitely in here. For one that was just there to satisfy my little heart and my little collector, okay? I don't always do that. I try actually not to do it. I'm trying really hard, but I had to get the Nosferatu collab with Heretic, I believe it is. Yeah, Heretic Parfums. I went and saw Nosferatu on Christmas Day. I was like, it's coming out Christmas Day, I'm gonna go see it. I love a vampire movie, okay? I love just in general the vampire as a monster and what that means and all the different ways you can explore that and the horrors that we face. Okay, anyway, that being said, I was getting this no matter what. And so scent-wise, I wasn't as concerned. I will say I like this more than I thought. I kind of have my own little horror perfume collection going on because I have a lot of the Halloween Studio Juices from Dias and Durga. I really like collecting those. And I guess before I get into the actual scent, I will say this also delivered on all the materials. Like if you're wanting something that's a little bit of like perfume, but also kind of merch and kind of like goes into that world, there was a lot of like cool materials. There was like a newspaper that came with it. I felt like it was packaged really well. Okay, that being said, this is very much like a, kind of gives like a petrichor rain kind of vibe, but kind of dusty. I believe there's like violet, like purple flowers are going on for sure in here. It kind of reminds me of Salem Gothic from Dias and Durga, which is part of the studio line and part of the Halloween thing, and like I feel like they're very much in the same vibe of scents, but this one's a little bit more going to a clean rain scent, and I feel like that's what saves it because it doesn't go necessarily as powdery as it could. It kind of stays that fresh I feel like outdoor purple flowers, a little powdery, a little dusty, a little Victorian. I don't know. It's interesting. It's interesting. I didn't buy it for the scent, I'll tell you that, okay? I don't know if I smelled this, if I would be like, I gotta get that scent on me. Like, probably not, but I wanted the Nosferatu collab. I did. But I will give you the full list of notes. Lilac and Ambrette in the top, petrichor, violet, iris, nagar motha. I think maybe that's how you say it. It says it's a powerful, earthy, aromatic, woody fragrance. Definitely could smell that. And then in the base, there's ambergris, oud, and labdanum. I feel like that ambergris also is something I really like, and again, saves this fragrance. Like, I could definitely wear this. It's not like unwearable, but it's not like my preference, okay? Let me know if you pick this up. Is this your thing? Because I know people love this type of scent. Like, I don't think it's like a bad scent. People love it. It's just not necessarily the one for me, but the collab was the one for me, I'll tell you that. The last couple I have here to actually show you, these are from Nopalera, and I got a really great deal on these. So I was like, I'm gonna pick them up, I'm gonna try them out and see how they are. I've just been intrigued by this brand for so long, and I've tried a few of their things, and I was excited to see them move into the fragrance category. Starting with the Dulce de Cuerpo, I was excited for this one because it is their kind of vanilla scent, and again, knowing what I know from the line, I think it's more natural, and I didn't expect this to be overly like foodie and sweet, and it's more of like an incense kind of earthy vanilla, almost on the lines of like a patchouli vanilla. There's not patchouli in here, but it definitely gives more of that vibe. So think something a little bit deeper. It does have a sweetness to it, but it's vanilla with a lot of other things going on, and I don't feel like it's just only a true vanilla, at least in how I like to think of it. But I know people love this type of vanilla too, and you know, we gotta have stuff where it can't just be the same Bianco latte over and over again, although I do love the idea of that. Anyway, notes on this: sweet earth in the top, mid incense, amber, and violet, and then the base has copal, vanilla, and sandalwood. It's a nice scent overall. It's not overly strong either. I feel like both of these scents, in terms of like how they wear, they're gonna be easier wears, even if the notes are a little more interesting. I think it's nice, just not my perfect scent, I guess I would say. And I also like this profile. I feel like it's a nice profile, but also not at a projection or strength that I feel like can be a little bit overpowering sometimes for people. So it's kind of a middle ground where you get something a little different, a little natural, but it's also not going to be, you know, so in your face where you feel like you're really wearing perfume. And also these are pretty affordable, just full price, they're $78. So that's Dulce de Cuerpo. And then for Bosque Místico, this one is more like a forest, more of like a green take, but there are some like fruity slash like floral and just almost watery sweetness that comes in for this fragrance that definitely doesn't make it go like green and woody. Like when I think of a forest, a lot of times I want that woodiness. I love like Lisboa. That is very much like a forest to me, but it's more like a forest on the side of a cliff or even like a forest at fall time. This is more like a lush green forest with a lot of other plant life, other flowers, other potential fruits, like flowering and fruiting plants going on. So this has notes of hibiscus, pepper, citrus zest, honeysuckle, orris, and cashmere woods. I think this is nice, and I think it's more likable than I would expect something in this category to be. Again, it kind of has that green, watery kind of scent to it, a little showery as well on this one. So as much as I'm excited for these, I will say, I don't know if they're my perfect scents, and I'm excited to see what they potentially expand into, but could be something to try out if you really like the brand. Last year, I wanted to talk about a few fragrances that are, I feel like, huge, heavy hitters in the perfume world, okay, especially the niche world, that I don't have. I didn't blind buy them. I wanted to like smell them. I was like, I'm not gonna end up with these, you know, really expensive bottles and be like, they're okay, you know, like it's too much for me. I'm not doing it. But we have new perfumes from Le Labo. There's a new one from Kilian, and there's a new one from Parfums de Marly. So let's start with the Le Labo. This one is my favorite out of all of them, and the one that I am considering buying a bottle of. Oh, I'm on the edge. I feel like at some point I might do it. I really quite like this one. It's Eucalyptus 20. Now, hearing Eucalyptus, I was kind of like, am I gonna like this? But it really does, and I've heard people say this, but it really does smell like the Hinoki hand soap, which is literally in my bathroom right now. Like, I love that hand soap. I think it smells so good. The Hinoki line in general from Le Labo is so good. And although the name Eucalyptus throws you off, I do feel like, especially as it wears and as it dries down and all of that, it really is giving that kind of woody, just such a good, refreshing musky, woody scent. I love it. These are the notes in the fragrance. Olibanum, there's Gurgeon Balsam. I haven't heard of that note before, but it's like a woody note. There's cedarwood, eucalyptus, labdanum, hyssop, red thyme, and musk. And it is just a really nice woody unisex scent. It gives a little Catholic Church vibes, like a little bit, especially when I first spray it, but I really love how aromatic and just like, fresh and kind of like crisp and dry it smells as I wear it in the dry down, as it kind of carries on the wind, the sillage, all of that. It's very nice. I feel like it's very Le Labo, and it's one that me and my husband would both enjoy wearing. He really likes the scent of the Hinoki hand soap as well. So if you're a fan of the Hinoki line, I think it's one to check out. I definitely don't think it's going to be for everyone, but it's the first Le Labo I've really liked since Te Matcha came out. So I was very excited for this launch. And again, it's on my list to buy. I don't need it immediately type of thing, but I feel like it would be a nice addition to my collection at some point in the future. We'll see when and if that happens, but I do like it enough that I would like a bottle at some point. And I think that means something, especially again for the prices and how big my collection is. Let's talk about Parfums de Marly Valaya Exclusif. And I was really excited for this one. I almost blind bought it again a few times, but this bottle is no joke, okay? These bottles are so expensive, and you know, I love Valaya, the original. I freaking love it, okay? It is so good. It's a very like ozonic and just refreshing, almost kind of crispy, I don't know, it has a je ne sais quoi about it, truly. I love that scent. And so for the Exclusif, I was like, I don't know how this is gonna go. I feel like I've only smelt it truly once. I tried to smell it twice, but to be completely honest, I'm not sure if I actually was given the Exclusif to smell. I swear it smelled so similar to the original that I'm left questioning if it is, but on my first smell of it, the true one where I knew it was different, it really does smell so similar to Valaya that in my head I'm like, I just don't think you need both necessarily. Like I feel like one or the other is going to be the one you prefer, and like just go with that one. I don't think you necessarily need both, but I did get something a little bit thicker. It had the same Valaya DNA, and yes, that same kind of addictiveness, but it just comes through so almost like how a Sharpie is good to smell. I know not everyone's going to agree with that, but if you get it, you get it. Like there's something about that you just want to keep going back to. That's how original Valaya is to me, and the new one is that same scent without that quite quality to it, because it's a little bit powderier, it's a little bit thicker, it's not as like clear and transparent and zingy in a way, I feel like, as the original. So to me, it wasn't necessarily worth the pickup, but I'd love to know your guys' thoughts on it. If you have smelled it, how do you compare them? The notes in the Exclusif are almond, mandarin, bergamot, then there's powdery notes, orange blossom, and white flowers in the mid, and then vanilla, akagala wood, sandalwood, and ambroxan in the base. Again, I feel like it's those powdery notes, that almond touch, that add a thickness and add a little bit of body to it, but I feel like what I like so much about Valaya is that it is kind of, I don't know, just like a floating little cloud, and I love that. So I didn't end up going with that one. And then from Kilian, we have Angel Share Paradis. And this one is basically Angel Share. It's like a flanker, but it has a raspberry note in it. So notes cognac, liquor, raspberry, tonka bean, Bulgarian rose, oak moss in the mid, and then praline, oak, and sandalwood in the base. Very much giving Angel Share. I feel like if you like Angel Share, you're probably gonna like this one, but I do feel like it has that fruitier touch. The raspberry really does brighten it a bit, and I feel like it makes it a little less fall-oriented only. At least for me, when I smell Angel Share, it's just fall vibes, okay? And although it doesn't have a fruity note in the original, it does smell like apple pie filling to me. It does kind of have this warm, gooey kind of apple filling, you know? And I feel like that raspberry touch is nice. I do think it makes it different enough. I don't know if you, again, need both of them, but I thought it was nice. It still has that same kind of warmth that Angel Share has, and I hate to say this because I don't want to ruin it for anyone, and I really love Angel Share, but Angel Share, depending on how I smell it, can kind of have a little bit of a warm pea smell to me, and it still has a little bit of that going on, but I find it just adds like a power, and that's really only when you're right up close smelling it. That's not really the actual actual like effect it leaves or the impression it gives when you're truly wearing it. But yeah, I thought it was a nice release. I'd love to know your thoughts on that one too. Did you pick any of those 3 heavy hitters up? I feel like those are pretty big launches again, especially in the niche world. But anyway, let me know your thoughts on any of these. If I'm telling you my absolute favorites here in front of me, because when I do these new launches, I'm really just talking about what's timely. You know, it's not necessarily always like my absolute favorite new things. It's just like new things and me telling you how they smell. But I would say the things that I think are gonna have some longevity, okay, in my collection. Brown Girl Jane Casino, again, really considering that full bottle. Really loving the Snif candle. I definitely am gonna burn through that. I do like this Eilish one. It might be a little bit of the moment, but I do think it's a good one, and I'm happy I picked this one up. Also, of course, really excited about Desertland. This one I feel like is the one I'm the most excited. I bought this not because it's new, not because of all that, just because I really do like the scent and it's been on my list. So this one for sure. And the Vyrao also, there's just something about it. I don't know, it has me excited to try more. So anyway, I'm not trying to mention everything I talked about. This video is long enough. I hope you're having an amazing day. I'm gonna end it here. Let me know your thoughts on any of these. Have you sniffed these? What are you thinking about them? What have you been trying at home? I'd love to know if there's anything I should check out. But other than that, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.